Hey everyone, for today's video, I'm gonna be working on my water heater. So right now, this does not work. It will not stay on. So I'm gonna be replacing two parts to be able to get my water heater functional again. So I'm gonna replace the gas valve and pilot adapter, and I'm gonna replace the burner assembly. Okay, so the first part I'm gonna replace is the gas valve and pilot adapter, which is this piece right here, and it goes into the tank itself. So as part of this process, I have to drain the tank, and so I'll show everyone how that's done. And then the second part I will replace is the burner adapter, and it is over here behind this insulation. So we take off this panel, which is a cover, and then we just pull this insulation down. And this is what I need to remove. So there's a couple of screws that hold it into place, and we'll get to that after we do the gas valve and pilot adapter. Since the gas valve and pilot adapter sticks into the tank, when I remove it, it's going to allow water to come out. So the first thing we want to do is turn off the water line that feeds the tank itself, just like that. And then you want to go over to your gas valve pilot adapter and make sure it's set to off, which it currently is. So a red arrow right here lines up with off. So if you have an electrical line running to your water heater, you're either going to want to unplug that or turn it off at the breaker. And the reason for that is that if your tank uses electricity, what it's doing is it has an electronic ignition, and that is more efficient than the older style, which is what my tank is, which doesn't have that. So the way mine works is that the pilot flame is always on, and so it's constantly burning gas. With an electronic ignition, that pilot flame will go out automatically when it's not needed, so it's not burning gas just to stay on, and then it will come back on when it actually needs to heat up the tank. The downside to that is when you lose power during a storm, you have no hot water, whereas if I lose power, I still have hot water because mine is just run by gas. Okay, once your water, your gas, and if it applies to you, your electricity is off feeding your water heater, go ahead and hook up your hose to your spigot attachment. Just like any time you would hook up your hose to the outside of your house. Make sure it's nice and tight. All right, once your hose is connected and the end of it is pointed in a safe direction outside where you're not gonna flood anything like your garage or your house, open one of your hot water lines for one of your sinks, and then just open your valve here on the tank itself. All right, so something I forgot to mention, in the process of draining the tank, make sure to open the pressure release valve because that's gonna help get the water flowing. So yours may look a little different than mine, but mine's pretty simple. You're just gonna take this and flip it open to like right there and leave it like that. And you heard all that air start to move. And so the flow is not going to be exceptionally strong. Like you're not going to see it like gushing out like it's under high pressure because it's not. So it's going to take about 10 to 20 minutes depending on the size of your tank and how much water is in there to get everything out of the tank. While I wait for the tank to drain, I'm going to go ahead and disconnect everything. So I have the thermocouple right here, and the burner supply tube, the pilot supply tube, and the piezo ignition wire. All four of these have to be disconnected for this to be removed. So the wire is really easy, just pull it out. Now I'm gonna do the thermocouple. Next I'll do the pilot supply tube. I've already broken it free. So this pulls out just like the other one. And last, I've got the burner supply tube. So this was a little difficult to break free. I had to use a rubber mallet beating on the end of the wrench to get it. And I think one of the issues is that if my tank still had water in it, there'd be enough weight in the tank to counteract my leverage on here. But my tank is now empty, so this doesn't weigh that much. And so as I was trying to break this free, I was just moving the entire tank in the process because you can see how easy this is right now. So if you have the same issue, just use a rubber mallet, but if you still got water in the tank, a significant amount, you probably won't have that problem. You'll probably be able to put enough leverage on here to break it free. So one thing I forgot to mention earlier is after everything is turned off, you can remove your gas line from the side, and you have to do that because you need access to this port right here. So I didn't cover that, and I will explain that at the end as to why I skipped that part. All right, with everything removed and your tank fully drained, you can now remove the gas valve and pilot adapter. To do that, you have to take a 1/2 inch pipe, screw it into the end of it, and use it quite literally as a pipe wrench to loosen this. Okay, so this is my old one and this is my new one. So they are a bit different. I don't know much about them, so hopefully the manufacturer sent me the correct parts. I mean, we talked to them on the phone and this came directly from them with what they said was correct for the model unit. So I'm guessing maybe they just updated to a newer version and this is supposed to be better. A little different on the back. So I guess you leave the plastic on the outside since this is what came out of a tank and this is what's about to go in. So this is a little bit different, but it looks like it's going to thread in without a problem. So hopefully it works. All right, so I'm ready to install my new unit. Since you are installing something that takes water, normally you'd apply thread tape, but mine came with what appears to be some sort of thread sealant already all over it. So I'm not going to add anything because that's going to cause issues. And again, from what I can tell in the instructions, this plastic piece, it does not come off, it stays on there. So, if you're someone out there who actually has water heater experience, if you're a water heater repair tech or something and you watch this video, feel free to comment and explain what this does because there's nothing that explains it that I've found. So I'm gonna install it. So we're gonna start by threading it in by hand, and then once I get to the point I can't do that anymore, we'll put the pipe on it and we'll tighten it down. That's about it. That's good enough. You obviously want the end with it straight up and down. Okay, so on my new one, the piezo generator is a little bit different. So instead of it just receiving the plug, it ends up having its own wire that comes out. And so they give you an adapter that comes in the box. I had to go digging for this. I didn't notice it at first. And so this will allow you to hook up to the piezo wire and allow you to make that connection, because otherwise you can't plug in to the piezo generator on this one like you could on the old version. Okay, next I'm going to remove the burner assembly. This is pretty easy. We got 4 screws here, and that holds it in place. I've got my new one here. It's exactly the same, so we're just going to slide it in. I'm going to get each of them started before I tighten them down all the way. Okay, at this point, I'm just going to be reconnecting everything. So I'm just going to work my way left to right. I'll go until they're hand tight, and then I'll come back and tighten them all. All right, after you get your gas connection rethreaded on, make sure you clean up any excess pipe thread sealant, and it has to be gas rated. So you do need pipe thread sealant on these. You don't use them on your connections down here. There was nothing on the threads on the old one that I removed, but for this piece you do need thread sealant. So I've cleaned up most of the excess off of there, and now I'm going to thread the gas tube onto this portion. This doesn't need the sealant, this section right here. So I'm gonna take it finger tight, and then I'm just gonna tighten up a little bit with the wrench. It shouldn't need much. Okay, now with everything reconnected, I'm gonna go back and talk about something I didn't discuss in the beginning. So this is my gas valve, and this is a new one that I installed. So what I ended up doing is I turned off the gas to the entire house, and then I replaced the valve here. And the reason for that is that this was the old valve, and you can see that the handle itself was bent. And when I attempted to turn it off with my hand, I couldn't move it at all. I put a little bit of pressure on it with the wrench, and it wasn't going anywhere. I didn't bend it, so it was already bent like this to begin with, and that's just, that's a bad sign. You shouldn't have to put that much pressure on it to turn it off. So I didn't like that. The pipe wasn't an issue, but I eliminated this entire section because I don't need it. So that wasn't a problem, but since I had to take this off to get to this, I decided to just buy a longer hose and connect directly to my valve, which is perfectly acceptable. So now I've got a valve that I can easily manipulate by hand, which is the way it should be. And it's closed right now. The gas is running to the whole house. And at this point, when I reopen it, I will have to make sure that all of my seals are good and that I don't have any gas leaking from here and then from my connection up top, which of course you would have to do no matter what for the connection that's at the water heater itself. This one's already good. We know that for sure because gas is on and we don't have any gas leak coming in right now. All right, at this point, with everything reconnected, the instructions want you to go ahead and refill the tank with water. So make sure that you detach your garden hose from your drain faucet, and then make sure it's tightened up so you're not gonna lose water out of it. Close your pressure relief valve and turn your water on. All right, now that the water's running, you should go inside, open up some of your hot water valves so that you can bleed air out of the system until you get to the point where you have water coming out without any air pockets. Okay, my tank has been refilled and I've bled all the air from the system, so water is running correctly to all my faucets without a problem. So now it's time to turn the gas back on. And of course, when I do this, I will have to check everything past my valve to make sure that all of my connections are solid and I'm not leaking any gas. All right, my gas is flowing. Okay, I don't have any bubbles coming up from my soap and water combination. So if you don't know how to check for a gas leak, just take a spray bottle, add some water in it and put some dish soap in it like Dawn, and then just spray it onto your gas connections. And if you see it start to bubble up, because what's gonna happen is that soap is gonna cover those threads. And then if you have a gas leak, it's gonna start to cause bubbles, and it's just going to look like you've got a reaction, essentially. Okay, at this point, I should just be able to start the water heater. However, the previous owner, when he had the new model installed, whoever did the work didn't hook up the vent up top properly. So when I bought the house, this is literally how it was. And they just left it like this. So I guess with the new water heater, when they brought it in, they changed some stuff around and things didn't line up properly, or who knows, maybe it was like this forever. And they didn't bother to try to get the vent hooked up to be able to exhaust out through the roof like it's supposed to. So I went and bought a flexible tube to be able to do this. So what I'm gonna have to do is everything here on top of the water here is fine. I'm gonna end up cutting this vent off probably somewhere around here. I'm just gonna use my grinder to do that. I'm gonna cut the tube and install my new flexible tube to make the connection so that everything's good.